Hello, everybody. Welcome back to video 10 in this series. I'm getting ready to teach a summer camp game development thing for high schoolers at the college I work at, and um, I wanted to give the lecture plan I have a trial run, and we've been putting together models so far. And I think when I get to the actual camp, I'm going to do on the first day, we'll just use regular blocks and planes and not spend time on models till the second or third day. So it did take uh, that way we get started quicker. Now that I look at the time, it does seem to have taken a minute, but we're almost ready to start with our game logic, and we got some nice models going. So we got a landscape brought in and a player built, and I think when I actually do the summer camp, I'm going to do some just simple blocks and planes and start applying logic, and then we'll do graphics later and replace those simple shapes with the better shapes later, because that did seem a little time consuming. But we've got our character model brought in, and there's a logical part of the player, and then the graphics are just a child of that. So those can be deleted and replaced with better graphics later. You always want to separate your logic from your graphics uh, for that reason. Well, we're not quite ready. We need to see this warning. There's no way for our logical element to interact with things. What we really need from the physics engine component of a game engine is that interacting interface, the spot, that boundary where two things interact with each other. So we need to set up a boundary for this. So I'm going to come up here and right click. If you just hit the plus sign, it'll add a child node. Um, I usually like to right click and hit add child node, and we want to search for collision to find and choose collision shape 3D. So now notice that if we collapse things, it's at the same level as the graphics. So again, it's separated. We can replace the graphics without affecting the logical aspects. Uh, so there's no shape yet. So in pretty much all of our game engines, we'll have something like this. The panels are set up differently, and in pretty much all of our good game engines, they're also adjustable, so we can take these panels and drag them around and reposition them and choose a layout we like. So that's always customizable, but uh, uh, it takes a while to really find a good layout. So somewhere you'll have a hierarchy where you'll be able to see everything, and then you'll see the files that are affiliated with your games because there's going to be lots of files involved. The game engine uh, has a lot of components, one of those being a file manager so it can keep track of all those different assets. Games are not one single file. There's lots of files involved. Um, and another important aspect, along with the viewport, is going to be the inspector panel. So all of our major game engines will have this, and whatever node we select, that has a whole lot of properties that we can do things. And when we start scripting, we can add more inputs to this that directly tie into our script. So you want to notice, pay close attention to whatever game engine you're using, where the hierarchy is and where the inspector panel is. So in our collision shape, there's a few things, a name for it. Um, I don't think I'll be referring to this in the script, so I'm not going to worry with, I'll just keep it the default name. These things that I change the name on, that those are all things that I plan to interact with in the script. If I'm not going to interact with it in the script, it's probably going to stay at the default name. I might not say that every time I do that. Just to let you know why some things will be renamed and some things won't. Then we have our basic information is the shape of the collider, which we know is empty right now. The transform, where is it located at? How's it rotated? How's it scaled? That's some of our most important um, video game control data. That's the data we change most often to control our game and monitor to tell when things are happening. So with the collision, we just need that boundary. So let's do a shape. So if we click that, where it says empty, lots of different shapes. We'll just go with the box shape and get this nice little box around it. And you can see those little handles. If we grab those, we can stretch it out, different sizes. That's probably trying to grab that arrow. Well, let me try this again. The collision shape, and I'm trying to grab this arrow here so that it moves up. Oh, the snap's on. That's why. I have to move all the way up until it snaps to the next position. Which actually looks like it's in the right spot if I snap to the next one. But to turn the snap off, let me bring it back down like it was. This little thing here that looks kind of like a magnet. Uh, if you click that, then it stops snapping to the grid and we can just hone in on the exact position we want. So his feet will be up against the ground. So I want to make sure the feet are on the ground. I'll grab that handle and scale it down a little. Looks like a good spot for him to stand on the ground. That'll work for us now. We probably don't need a lot of extra space around him. So I'll click the little axes labels here so we can see this and look from each angle and kind of find a good size for that box. And things are color coded. So if I pull that up on those colors, the Y is the green or X, Y, Z, and it goes in RGB order. So red is the X, Y is the green, and Z is the blue. So we can see blue, Z axis is forward, the X axis is left and right, and the Y axis is up and down. We will definitely need that soon. So now we have our logical unit with the boundaries so that it can interact with other things in the world and some graphics, at least starting point graphics. But if we go try to run this, here's the overall run button. That's for the end when we have all our levels made and know where we're going to start and the order we'll go through the levels in. In general, when debugging, we want this one right over here. There's two that look similar. It looks like the director clipboard, but the one with the little triangle, the play symbol. If we run that, we can't see anything yet. That's because we don't have a camera. There's nothing to see with. So we need to create a camera. And there's a couple ways. I'm going to do a third person view here. So, and then set the camera to rotate around. And I wanted to do it in a very specific way. So I'm going to go up to the player and add a child node. But for right now, I'm just going to add a basic node. A node that doesn't have anything. This isn't going to have any shape, any graphics, or anything. And what this is, this node will be what the camera mounts to. So I'm going to call it camera mount. And then we'll attach the camera as a child of this so that when we like set the camera with our mouse and rotate back and forth, it spins around this node, not a particular spot on the character or anything. And for a good third person view, I'm trying to snap off again. I'm going to set that camera mount right about where the shoulder level. So a little bit below the neck, so that when our camera's looking down, it's actually spinning around and staying focused on his shoulders. So then we'll click on that and add a child node, and this is where we'll put the camera. So lots of layers in the hierarchy, and sometimes the layers are just extra ones to kind of offset things. So we can see the camera here. Looks like it's looking in the negative Z direction. So I'm just going to make the character match that. So I'm going to come up here to the character, the logic, and then we have our graphics. And here in the rotation, I'm going to spin that around 180 degrees around the Y-axis. I guess we can see it with his feet. So now his feet are forward are facing the negative Z, the same as the camera. So if I take the camera and just slide it over and up a little, and so the arrows move, and then these circle things rotate it. So if we grab this red one, it rotates around the x-axis and looks down. Then click this little box to see the preview. That's too far down. Bring that up a little. Gives us a view of our character. So now if we run this, we can see some stuff. We don't have any lights yet, so we don't see it very well, and we don't have any camera controls to move it. We can't move the character, but we're getting the first few steps in there. Maybe back a little further. What does that look like? That'll work for, well, I don't know. Maybe that does seem like a little bit much. There we go. That'll work for a starting position. So we have a camera and everything. And before we go finish this up, we probably want to set up the animations, but again, this video stretched out to 10 minutes, so I will do that in the next video. But a couple steps further, that gets our camera set up there. So I'll see you in the next video, and we'll set up our animations so that our character begins moving, and then we will begin putting our scenes together. See you then.